Hello everyone, Sergey here. It's been a while, we've been working hard, plus I had a vacation, went away, relaxed and recharged. And first off, I want to record and post our favorite video about our trading reports, how our new hop team performed, and how Ivan traded. You might have seen him in our previous videos, he is our trader. So look, we're going to add a Google spreadsheet with live accounts. It's there now, but it's mostly old accounts. This spreadsheet hasn't been updated, this link. Now we're going to add all the fresh accounts for 2026, and you can log into the accounts yourselves and see how things were traded, what instruments were used, what lots, what the deposits were, and accordingly see for yourself how it went. Also, all the accounts in the left table, I've already added them to MyFXbook. An image will appear on your screen now. You can see the table on the left and on the right. We have MyFXbook, and basically it's very convenient that MyFXbook calculates the total profit itself. And these are far from all the accounts from IC Markets. There are about 10 or 5 more accounts I haven't added yet. They'll be in the process. There are accounts that were already added, large accounts by other users, so I couldn't upload them to our MyFXbook. But nonetheless, I want to say the result is very good considering it was one broker. Yes, there are a few accounts you can see from exclusive, a bit higher than Star Trader, but still the main profit was generated from IC Market. And if we scroll down, you can see the profit, third section, that our profit was 445,000. I'll even refresh it now. Yes, that's $445,000, and that's for the dollar accounts. And look, we also had Australian accounts, meaning there were balances in Australian dollars too. Here is $79,000, and just to clarify, that's 79,000 in Australian dollars. So, accordingly, if we convert them there, we get about $55,000 or $60,000. Regular ones, which is equivalent to $500,000, so for a quarter, maybe even less, from one broker. Well, okay, not from one, but still I'd count it as one because it paid very decently, very large sums. And moreover, if I add the other accounts now, they'll cover both Star Trader and exclusive. Plus, if you go to the left table, look at the left table, you see that the blue accounts are the ones that someone else already added instead of me. There, and you can see there that we have a blue account. It had a deposit of 9,900, well 10,000, and we made 40. This isn't reflected in this table, which is why I'm so confident that other accounts will easily cover both exclusive and Star Trader, which are on MyFXbook. So I want to say that the profit is very strong, serious, about $500,000 for the quarter. That's impressive. And what's more, these are only accounts linked to IC Markets. There are other new brokers. They are now, I'll also be making tables for them. I'll be updating tables, recording videos, adding them to MyFXbook, and you'll see absolutely all of it. The only thing is, you might see that my MyFXbook looks different from yours because I'm the owner, and I set it up so that the fresh accounts are right here. But for you, they appear as one big list, and you just have to scroll to the last page, and then you'll see all the fresh accounts that I'm adding. So it's a little bit inconvenient in that regard. Also, regarding the accounts, what I wanted to say is basically there were some interesting accounts. There was my personal account from Australia. Now I'll open the terminal for you. Here I am Sergey Tsarev. Now we'll log in. At one point, IC Markets worked well on server 17 in the Seychelles, SC17. But then something went wrong. They decided apparently to change something, and slippage started, and it became harder to earn, and profitability dropped sharply. We started evaluating other servers, and we found that the Australian server was working very well. So I opened one for myself. There was a small loophole there because they only accept under certain conditions. And it all started with the first 1,000 with $1,000. Now I'll make it full screen so it's clearer and more convenient for you. And it all started with $1,000. The first test began, everything was fine. The only thing was we couldn't immediately ramp up the lot size there because in Australia, their regulation only allows 1 to 30 leverage. So, and consequently with 1 to 30, you can't really scale up much. So it took me some time to confirm my professional status. And then of course they gave me 400 leverage. So accordingly, I then added 4,000 and everything became much more exciting, much faster. We started increasing the lot size, as you can see here. 0.14, 0.15, 0.16, 0.17 there, 0.18. So we just gradually increased it automatically and worked that way until the end. Then there was an interesting case. Now, if I can manage it, you can see here that I had a withdrawal of $5,000. That is the first 1,000, then the 4,000, 5,000 deposit in total, and we earned 35. Well, it was a bit more. I just withdrew around some. They didn't want to withdraw it right away because they required the bank to be specifically Australian, although it wasn't stated anywhere in the terms. And so I wrote to them saying, look, it's not mentioned anywhere, please withdraw my money. So here I had a minus, then a plus again, they credited it back. And still, after exchanging a few messages and sending several emails, they eventually gave us the go-ahead. After that, we were able to withdraw $35,000. $35,000, they arrived in my bank account. What's more, I'll go into my bank account now and show this deposit to prove it all really happened. Because there are still some folks who doubt it, but there always will be, and for goodness sake, it's no trouble for me to upload a video from the bank. I'll just record a video from my phone now and insert it somewhere here. You can see that it's not just a report and a photo, but there will be a video. And so what was the interest of this account, specifically the Australian servers? The thing is, usually, as you know, you make some profit, you earn, and then the broker doesn't let you trade on your account anymore, on the old one. That is, they block it or change the trading conditions. But with Australian accounts, everything was completely different. Australian accounts were the longest lasting, meaning you can withdraw and keep working, withdraw and keep working. So people always asked, can we keep working? But we always say it depends on the broker. And in 90% of cases, no, because they immediately change the account settings. And it's like, well, it's already under a plugin and it's impossible to continue working on it. But not with Australia. With Australia, everything is completely different. And look, we just started testing further with the first lot and everything went well. We also started earning more and made another few thousand, literally 11 or 10. Oh, here it is, 11,640. So first we withdrew $35,000 and then another 11,640. And the second time, for the second withdrawal, they already paid out without problems, but there was a violation on their part. They didn't know how to deal with us, so they just disabled the trading option. And consequently, we couldn't even close our positions. Our positions remained open for several days. And support didn't respond at all. I mean, you write an email to support, support is silent, and in the chat they say that support will definitely look into it and get back to you. And after that incident, they basically returned both the profit and the deposit without any... Well, here it turns out they only returned the profit because we had already withdrawn the entire $5,000 deposit, and I left a little bit of profit behind. And so from that profit, we made another 11,640. There, they withdrew it without any issues, although during the first withdrawal, they said they were ready to transfer it to a different bank. I have a Dubai bank, and they said only once to another country. Well, I figured if they did it once, they'd do it a second time. And so accordingly, everything was withdrawn without a hitch. Again, I think they withdrew it without trouble because there was a mistake on their end. They simply disabled our ability to trade, and our positions just hung there for several days while support remained silent. And since I communicated with them carefully, referencing their local laws and the terms they provided, I think they decided not to argue and just gave the money back. So accordingly, we traded for a while longer, but now, as you know, IC has significantly changed their terms, and they changed them on absolutely all of their servers. I mean, before this, besides the Australian one, there was a good server, number 22, the German one, which also worked well. You can see it in the table on the left now, if we can find it here, if I labeled it. Okay, well, I apparently put 17 everywhere. I was copying and pasting, so it's likely my mistake. I'll fix it now and upload the correct version. I remember we had this specific account there. I think we turned 2,000 into 9,000, 220th, yes, and this 220th account, it is exactly going to be, yes, here it is. This will be the German account. And we were making very good money on 22 as well. Let's see. Yes, that's the one. We deposited 2,000 euros into the balance, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe it was dollars. I'll have to double check. And when the 17th ones weren't working, when they were slipping, the 22nd performed perfectly without any issues at all. So you can observe how our volume density increases, the profit grows, and in the end we made, okay, let me pull up the full history. Wait a second. Okay, profit is 7,028, but I think this needs a second look. The client was also trading on their own here. And it's possible he lost some of it because he later made another deposit. Okay, account 145. Now let's double check everything together. Going back to the German servers, server 22 performed well, while the 17th ones were down. And here we have server 22. Now I'll show you clearly how we turned 2,000 into about 7,000. Yes, 7,000 in profit. The only thing is, I don't mind the deposit. The client was withdrawing and depositing himself, and he even traded on his own. And I also want to show you how this looks on MyFXbook. On MyFXbook, if you check some of our accounts, you might see there are literally two of them. There are negatives like minus 77% gain and minus 44%. So where does this come from and how does it happen? We trade, we make a profit. You can see right here what the balance was, the maximum profit, the deposits. Well, again, the deposit is also shown incorrectly here. The deposit for this account was only 2,000. See, his net profit was $7,000. Why does it show a minus? Look, there are clients who start trading after we do. That is, we make a profit, for example, they withdraw it and then they deposit their own money. Once again, to try and earn for themselves or to set things up. And so they try for some time, several months, and the gain, the growth already drops because it's calculated from equity. It's one thing when we made 400% from 2,000 in a month and it grew significantly, but it's another thing when they leave $200 and start trying to trade with that. Consequently, on a blocked account, this is simply impossible. And everything just slips and loses, and well, naturally you don't earn, you just lose money. And the deposit, the equity keeps falling. And this is reflected on the chart later on. And even here, if we look, you can see how the growth percentage drops from 486% profit, it just falls to minus 38. Again, it's calculated by equity, see? Moreover, you can scroll down and at the very bottom, everything will be clearly visible by month. Again, in March, when we were working, we had 486. We locked that in, made a profit, made a gain, withdrew it, settled up, everything was fine. Then the client deposits and starts on his own. That is minus 86, minus 31. And so MyFXbook also calculates some kind of average in its own way and gives these kinds of results. So that's why, again, if you're interested, you can find all these accounts in the table, go in and take a look. All the key info, like total deposits, the initial amount, and withdrawals, is shown in the sidebar, so you can disregard what I mentioned before regarding the drawdown. On certain accounts, MyFXbook has its own way of seeing how our system works, specifically how trades are reopened, and it sometimes reports a 40 or 50% drawdown, or even higher. Well, it's all case by case, completely individual, so don't let that bother you because it isn't accurate. We simply don't experience drawdowns like that. As we mentioned in the Q&A video with Ivan, we've already explained how this whole process is structured. I just wanted to reiterate that the drawdown figures reported on MyFXbook are not actually correct. Now moving on, something else I'd like to point out is the profitability shown here in the third column. On the right, all these accounts are performing well. We have smaller ones, as usual, but also some quite large ones. The big ones are around 46, 30, 38,000, 37,000, 27, 16, and 20,000. Essentially, it depends on luck and your setup as well as the server. The average deposit across these large accounts is fairly consistent, usually 5 or 10,000. So we eventually decided to just stick with $10,000 deposits across the board and went from there. because we noticed a pattern where starting with 10,000 makes it much simpler and easier to reach a decent level of profit. If we look at our spreadsheet again, you can see the figures on the left. That column represents the deposits right here. You can see the $10,000 row here with profits on the right, 7, 27, 16, 5, and 2,000. Yeah, that 2001 was just bad luck. It happens. For instance, if the market is flat, but the bot keeps trading and the broker sees you're profiting, they might just block your account. There are other smaller accounts too, like those with 3,000, which earned 5,600 or 2,600. Clients often ask what the best starting deposit is, but it's really up to the individual and your own financial situation. You could even start with 1,000. In fact, our first video featured a $900 or $1,000 start, but we've even seen $100. One client actually started trading with just $100, and we turned it into 1,000, so that's possible too. Anyway, I'd like to wrap things up now. So trading is active. It's active with new brokers. IC Markets is currently on pause for us. We've already done very well. I think 500,000. Actually, it's much more than that. There are accounts that are in the table, but not on MyFXbook. There are accounts that are still being added, and basically the company paid out, gave back the money very well. And I think there will be new reports now. We're currently working with 3 new brokers, also major ones, you know them. I'll definitely make a video about them now. I'll post them on MyFXbook too. We'll analyze them together, take a look and check how trading is going on them. These are, yes, just like IC, basically major brokers. You know all of them, absolutely. They're very popular. They've been on the market for a long time. Basically, there won't be some super new broker that you don't know about. Well, maybe there will be one because it's not popular yet, but it's working well at the moment. Thanks to everyone for watching. On the Telegram channel, we continue to keep you updated. On the Telegram channel, we post all the new reports, news, and updates about our robots. Also, if you want to get the table, if you couldn't find it on Telegram, you can just message me in the group below, and you'll receive basically in a private message a link to the account table. There will be new accounts there, and for 2025, 2024, all our accounts with different brokers. You can go in and take a look. The only thing is, if you can't access old accounts somewhere, it means that account was deleted. Brokers do that often so that the memory doesn't, not to lose memory, but to reduce the number of accounts, because every 1,000 accounts costs something with MetaQuotes. I don't remember. I think you have to pay $5,000 a month. So that's why brokers, to avoid keeping archives, they just delete them, and that's it. Thanks to everyone for watching. Successful trading to everyone. We'll stay in touch. Bye, everyone.